Hello and welcome back to Season 2 of the Awkward Corner podcast, a podcast that is discussing everything about design. I'm Stephen, your host, and with me is Spooky SJ.
Hello.
And everyone's favourite ghoulish girl, Amy.
I see dead people.
Not yet. Not yet, you don't. Hello everyone.
Hi.
If people hadn't guessed, this is a Halloween special.
We are coming to you from our new spooky mansion.
Crypt.
The crypt.
Let's have it right. It's a crypt. So, Halloween, let's get right into it because
Yes,
I am very excited and I'm going to probably talk a lot of nonsense because I'm too excited. I am going to bring you back to design though because
don't be a spoil sport.
I know. But I'll save that for a little bit. I want to go around the table first and see what you got. So I'm going to go to my right. Amy.
Hello.
What do you want to start us with?
Oh, I don't know. There's just so much. So I just think, firstly, maybe a little bit of history.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The history of Halloween. So it derives from a Celtic festival called Samhain, which is actually spelt Samhain.
Samhain.
But it's Samhain. And
Samhain.
this was particularly prominent in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the Isle of Man, and parts of Brittany, so northern France.
That's right. Celts.
Well, they're close by, aren't they?
They are.
And actually, it was more about a celebration of a harvest than it was anything else. There were lots of traditions about leaving food out for the dead. Lots of fire.
Yes.
We like fire. Fire. But actually, there's lots of the celebrations surround kind of prophesizing. I had to think about that word before I said it. Prophesizing.
You were concentrating.
Yeah. I was. Did you see the look on my face? Prophesizing. About the next year. So mainly things like, who am I going to marry? Am I going to get married?
Obviously, the most important things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
do you know
yet? No, I'm not aware. I'd rather keep that secret. Also things like whether you were going to die, whether your crops would be successful or not.
Yes, I've got that here as well.
Animals.
Animals, what about them?
They slaughtered them. Oh, well, they did in Wales.
Yes, but see, so I've just read a book called Trick or Treat, The History of Halloween, and it was brilliant. And the whole way through, every time Wales was mentioned, the author had to point out that in Wales, everything was just a bit grimmer. And by that, I mean, they just were a bit spookier than everywhere else.
Yeah, well, you know. You do you.
But there actually isn't a huge amount of evidence to say that they did sacrifice animals to the extent that we are told they do now. But then that comes down to a whole Christianization.
Are we talking about just Welsh people?
Oh,
here?
the festival.
Now, I know it differently, though.
Do you?
It's not sacrificial, because I think that's where the myth exists. I think it's more to do with the fact that they would harvest their meat.
Oh, yeah,
As
but
much
that's
as,
different. It's not sacrifice.
No, but that's what I mean. But I think that's
like
where it's
storing
got
for
There's a
lost
myth.
in
There's a myth.
translation.
There's a myth that it was sacrificial.
Yeah, they would like salt their meat, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Salt the meat.
I'm not saying that.
Preserve it.
That's the
probably a
word I'm
better way
looking
to
for.
go.
That's the word I'm
Preserve.
looking for. Yes. That's
My
what I
name's
do.
Stephen and I salt my meat.
Yeah.
So actually, I have got a game for us to play. It's a very visual game, which is great for a podcast. So lots of the traditions and the prophesizing revolved around what was going to happen in the following year. Lots of apples and nuts were used. An apple would be peeled and the peel would be dropped and it would recreate the initials of the person you were going to marry, for example.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that.
It's a bit like tea leaves.
Throw your nuts on the fire and depending on how they reacted.
Not before I salted my meat. Carry on. Your apples.
Come
My
on.
apples.
Can you just describe what
Right,
you've got
okay,
on
so
the table?
currently on the table I have, can you move your mug please? That's really ruining my aesthetic.
Right, sorry. Even though it's a pumpkin.
Even though it's a
Yeah.
pumpkin. I've got a chopping board here with 3 apples and a very sharp knife. Now we are going to predict what will happen to us all next year using the apple test.
Okay. This is interesting.
Now, what we all need to do
No, it's
is
terrifying.
chop our apple in half, directly down the middle, so you're going through the core.
Okay.
And then you need to count the number of visible pips. Visible pips.
The visible pips.
Visible pips. Okay, who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go on, SJ.
Do we have insurance
Slice your
for this?
apple. No.
Sorry, that was me just putting my mug down.
Uncle Fester at the door. Come in.
It's a very sharp knife.
It's a very short knife.
I mean, I like it. Oh, this.
Oh no, SJ, that's not how do you? Is this how you cook at home?
This is where I get hurt, everybody.
SJ looks like she's never held a knife in her life.
I'm not very good at cutting.
Oh, no one can do it for you either, I'm afraid. Otherwise, the prophecy will not
The
be
prophecy is dead.
prophetic.
I'm getting there.
All the way through.
Ooh.
What happens if there's no pips?
Well, that'll tell you. SJ, how many visible pips can you see?
Well,
Oh,
There's
there's
one-
two on your knife.
there's 2 on the knife.
And then there's one there.
Is that one?
Yeah, that's one. I can
that
see
three?
it.
Oh,
That's
it's
3.
only- it's like a tiny.
Okay, so you're at 3.
Okay.
Let me clean your sword. Stephen,
Am I going next?
you go next.
I want to do that.
That wasn't 3. That's look. That's just
I've chopped one in
You've chopped one in
half.
half, so you've got 2.
I mean, that was dramatic,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I'd say that's 2 pips.
That's 2 pips. You're 2 pips too. 2 pips, Stephen.
2 pips,
I
Stephen.
don't know why that's funny.
Wow.
We got a dodgy batch of apples where they're all very
I mean-
they are probably like
The
supermarket.
thing is, what is the average amount of pips in an apple?
That could depend on your apple as well.
There's no pips.
No pips at all.
No pips.
No pips at all.
What does that mean? You're not going to
I
do
don't know, but
anything
she's
next
gone
year?
white.
Is that not a visible pip there?
Well, you're reaching now.
Yeah.
There's nothing on my list for no pips. So you are both on 2 pips.
2 pips.
I'm a speculative 1 pip.
Singular pip.
Okay, so
1 pip does plenty.
1 pip foretells loneliness of the person.
Oh.
Why don't we keep it as no pips? Because really, technically, we can't see any pips.
Now you two, and I don't know whether this is together or not, 2 pips foretells an early marriage.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Good.
So
Good.
I look forward to the invite, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Just, for continuity, 3 pips is legacy, but I don't really know what that
Are
means.
you sure I don't have 3
Yeah,
pips?
I know.
You want 4, great wealth.
Oh, man. I think we picked the wrong apples.
Stephen, I am beside myself that you didn't get this one. 5 pips predicts a sea voyage.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
his salty
No
meat.
thanks. That's why you got to salt your meat. Exactly. For a long voyage.
You are terrified of the...
Of the sea.
Yeah.
Even though I grew up next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is such a shame you didn't
It's
get
very,
5
very
pips.
rough. And you can drown.
That's Wales for you.
Yeah.
6 pips is great fame.
Oh, well, we're not getting that, are we?
No, no one's
What
getting
about if we
that.
add them all up?
That's only 5. So we're going on a sea
Sea
voyage.
voyage.
Let's not do that.
7. Indicates possession of the most desired gift.
What kind of apple are you opening
know,
up?
when you get
with
7
all these,
pips.
Because frankly, there's going to be no fruit in it.
No. I don't think I've ever had an apple with 7 pips.
I'm going to keep watch now.
In fact, I'm going to
Okay.
Google how many.
Is that it?
How many
Does
pips?
it go on?
No, we only get to 7, I think.
Well,
So 8.
make up
Nothing.
whatever you want.
Boring year. Actually, lots of the Samhain traditions are around love. So we see Halloween now,
Yeah. And fertility.
and obviously it's kind of
Up.
bastardized as the time's gone on.
Yes.
But a lot of the original traditions surrounded the idea of love.
Apart from the stones in the fire.
I don't know about the stones.
You don't
in
know about the
fire.
stones in the fire?
No.
No.
So-
I was going to tell you about a beautiful swan, but please tell me about your stones in the fire.
I will. So, stones in the fire.
Oh,
And
it's so good to be back.
Every member of the family, you'd have a bonfire, obviously, because that's part of the
Yep.
the All Hallows tradition. And the family would all carve their names on a stone, and you'd throw them into the fire. And if your stone was missing in the morning when the fire had gone out, you were going to die.
She did.
She gone.
So happy Halloween.
I won't be throwing any stones on any fires.
Not so much to do with love, that one.
No.
But you would play a trick on your family, wouldn't you? I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't like
You'd
them.
fish the
and
stone
I don't
out.
like them. And I'd take that out, yeah.
That's a bit mean.
Wailing, I know well. I know. That's why I'm not liked in the family.
There's always one.
Your mum spent a whole year thinking she's going to die because you've removed a stone from the fire.
Right. She's still waiting. 33 years on. Do you have any? You were going to tell us about something else?
Oh, I was going to tell you about the swan.
Tell us about that then.
So
Go quickly.
there's a story that I came across which I thought was really lovely, and again it kind of goes against everything that you would traditionally know Halloween to be in a contemporary sense. So it's a Celtic story of a young man who starts dreaming of a beautiful woman. He's never met this woman before, but she appears to him in his dreams,
I can identify.
and he falls in love with her
Carry on.
In his dreams.
in his dreams.
It's about
Well,
right.
then he suddenly one day stops dreaming of her
Oh, man.
and decides that he's going to go in search of the real woman.
The real McCoy.
Don't do that, mate.
It's disappointment.
You have to sully everything, don't you? This is a beautiful story.
This is Halloween.
So he embarks on this journey to go and track her down, and he finds her father. And at first, her
Oh, that's
father,
disappointing.
her father is quite Welshy with him and says, "No, go away. We don't want your kind around here." Perhaps he was Welsh.
Again, I'm feeling very seen.
But he doesn't give up, and he keeps going back. And finally, the father admits to him that every Halloween, she turns into a swan. And she will live as a swan for that entire year until the following Halloween, when she will turn back into a woman. Hence why he stopped dreaming about her, because he was dreaming about a beautiful woman, then she turned into a swan, so she wasn't there to appear in
Birds weren't his
dreams.
thing.
No, clearly not. But to say that, he then has himself turned into a swan, and they fly off together forever and live happily ever after.
Oh.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
How does he turn into a swan?
I don't know. Magic, Halloween magic.
Oh, was he a black swan?
I don't know.
I need more detail.
I think it's just a swan. Stop picking apart the story and take it for what it is.
That was actually a nice story.
Yes,
It is
thank
a beautiful
you.
story.
Thank you.
And one I've never heard of, actually.
No,
With Halloween,
no.
that's a stranger one. SJ, what do you have for us?
I've got quite a few things.
Okay.
But one of the first things I had was just adding to what Amy said about the tradition and where witches fly on brooms comes from. And it's the same kind of thing.
I've got a terrible joke about that, which I can't say on the
God.
podcast.
Why not? Is it wooed?
Might be.
Well, actually, that might link into why. Because there are links to certain things.
Phallic.
Yeah, frolic. The association between witches and their brooms has roots with pagan fertility. But rural farmers would leap and dance around poles and pitchforks to encourage the growth of their crops, which is where the
That
broomstick
sounds
dance
like a euphemism.
It is.
Isn't there some tradition somewhere of putting a broom in front of the door on the step of the door and jumping over the broom as a good look?
Don't know that one.
No, I don't know that
Don't know
one
that
either.
one.
I
Yeah.
might have made it up.
It sounds like limbo to me, but
That's what I do every night when I get home. Put the broom down, I'm jumping over it.
For what reason?
What reason
Just
do
for
I
holes.
do it? I don't know, because I don't know. It's only half a story. I've basically done what Stephen usually does and tells you half a story and can't tell you the rest of it.
Yeah, I've got loads of little bits here. Mary Shelley,
I love her.
Frankenstein author.
Oh,
But did you know that she had a bit of a dark secret of her own?
mm-hmm.
Do you know what this is?
Go on.
So her husband Percy drowned at a very young age of 29.
She killed him.
She does.
Yeah. Let me just read this to you. Percy's body and those who follow the sailors that were found 10 days later,
God.
they were cremated, but Shelley's heart did not burn, so she kept it, and she used to walk around with it She used to walk around with her late husband's heart, and she carried it around in a silk bag.
That's actually quite common.
Do you want to expand?
No,
I mean,
historically, that's not unusual. So,
Wow.
Yes, it's like the tokenist thing of like I love tokenism.
yeah, and
Memento
being
mori, it's that
kept
it's
in
that
a
idea
in a
of,
silk bag.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll suggest that to my husband
Yeah.
when I go.
Yeah.
Just make sure you carry my heart around in a silk bag.
Silk bag, swinging it around like
in his Asda bag for life.
well, it's a bag for life.
Just put my sausages in here with my wife's heart. No, but no, I don't think that's unusual. Which queen's heart is buried in Westminster? No, not Westminster Abbey. Hampton Court Palace, the chapel there.
I also have lots of examples of Halloween-inspired furniture, or dark-inspired furniture, which we can put on Insta.
Oh yeah.
There's no point in going through every single one. You need the visual image.
It's very true. We'll put some examples up.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, but there's some really interesting ones. Really cool.
I'm going to take us back to design then.
Go.
if I have to. Yeah, don't pull faces at me. Especially that witchy face. Now, Ouija boards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring it back to design. Ouija board.
Whoa, this is a very important piece
Yeah,
of
but
design.
I'm
You're what? What?
Ouija
I was going to
boards.
bring one in,
Oh my lord!
and then I thought better of it.
Save me, Satan.
Thankfully, we had apples. So,
Thankfully, yeah.
Do you have one?
yeah.
Have you used it?
I had a bad experience with one. Not like recently. This was
Many moons
years
ago.
ago, which makes me wonder, shall we say?
Well, you
about
can't
things.
say that and not elaborate on it.
Let me talk about the Ouija board first.
Okay, go on then.
Let's give some context.
Set the scene.
A child's toy. That's how it all started.
What?
Yes, it's a
How?
child's toy.
Oh, okay,
That's
I get
how
it.
marked.
Right, okay,
Now
yeah.
with me here, I have a copy of I say a copy, I mean it is just a print off the internet, but it's still a copy of the original patent for the Ouija board.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which we'll put up on social media, but it's not changed very much.
No, have you seen the film Ouija?
No. I haven't.
But yeah, it makes sense actually that started as a children's toy.
That's exactly how it was marketed. It was like this. I'll read you some stuff. Ouija knows all the answers. Weird and mysterious. Surpasses in its unique results, mind reading, clairvoyance, and second sight. It furnishes never failing amusement and recreation for the entire family.
Wow.
I am selling that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I can see the advert in my mind now.
yeah. Ouija gives you entertainment you never experienced.
Oh.
I'd say so. It draws the two people using it
I see dead people.
into close companionship. Really,
Two
it's
people?
like, I don't know if you take someone on a date.
I can think
Do you
of
wanna
other
play with my
ways
Ouija
that I'd
board?
prefer to create close companionship
Yeah.
other than doing a Ouija board together.
But I haven't finished.
Oh, okay, go.
It weaves about them a feeling of mysterious isolation. You're already there.
Yeah, you loner.
Unquestionably the most fascinating entertainment for modern people, modern life. Now bear in mind this was in the 19th century
Yeah.
when I say modern life.
Different times.
Yeah.
These were the words of William Fuld. I think that's how you say his name. Businessman, designer, toy maker. And he invited the American people to enter the strange twilight world of Ouija, the wonderful talking board. I find it really fascinating because I found a bit that says it was actually originally kind of traced back to Chinese dynasty, which is the 1100 BC. So we're going a long time ago, where they kind of used it, again, I think, as in a spiritual way, a version of it. But for some reason, and I cannot think why, it has become associated with the occult and demonic possession. I think Exorcist has something to do with that because for anyone who may not have seen The Exorcist, that's exactly the face she pulls in. They use one, the girl used this one and becomes possessed, and it caused genuine panic. That's the first time in sort of popular culture where the Ouija board was seen as being sinister and taking people down a dark road and everything else. I don't know. I think it's one of these where it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Because as a piece of design, what is it? It's just a simple board with letters on it.
Letters, yeah.
It's got yes and no in the corners. Are you genuinely entering into something, or are you led in a particular way? Because that's always been the thing with Ouija.
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest.
I'd just rather not risk it.
Okay, so but why? Why? Because that's why I'm curious when people say, "Oh no."
Because
no,
I don't like answering my phone to actual living beings. I don't want to speak to a ghost via a board.
But what if it's someone you loved who wants to reach out to you and talk to you?
Yeah, but how do you know?
I think it's the uncertainty.
How do you know?
You don't know.
These ghosts, they can trick you into thinking all sorts of things.
The problem is it opens
says,
it
speaking
opens
from
things up,
experience.
doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just don't know. I just wouldn't risk it. I'm not. You won't change my mind on that. I'm not risking it.
I think that's really interesting because ultimately, I don't think there's never been any scientific, proven ability that.
Yeah, but there's no
Ouija board.
scientific proof that a ghost exists.
No, but as a form of communication, it lends itself to a conduit, doesn't it? So it opens a doorway where you are not sure what is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about
It's
intent.
that uncertainty, I think.
It's about intent, isn't it?
But is that psychological in terms of you thinking that?
Well, it depends on the person, because if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, then you're not going to be fazed by it, are you?
But it could be psychological. The brain is capable of all sorts of things, and what the brain can do to you is probably as scary as what anything
100%.
else.
So in November 2014,
Okay. go on then.
35 Bolivian students were hospitalized because of trances, sweating, and rapid heartbeats after playing with a Ouija board. It goes on. So there have been mass stories of fainting and spirit possession in Mexico, hysteria, and even the rise of 2015 viral game called Charlie Charlie. I've never played that. I don't know what that is.
No, I don't know what that is.
What's
either.
it called? Choreomania.
Choreomania.
What's that?
Dancing.
Oh, where everybody, once one person gets involved in it, then everybody
Yeah,
starts.
so there's this. Where was it?
I
That
can't
was
remember.
Germany, wasn't
yeah,
it?
I can't remember where they were all. There's a frenzy, wasn't it?
There was a
whole
frenzy
village.
and everyone just started dancing.
The
They
whole
couldn't
village.
stop dancing until they all just dropped dead.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
No,
And there
it's
are
a true
lots
thing.
of studies into why it may have happened. Obviously, at the time, witchcraft was bounded around, that they'd been cursed. They think it could have potentially been something in the water or...
Was it the Sanderson sisters?
Yeah, right. Right. I wonder whether that's where that came from, actually.
It might well have been.
That making them all dance.
But there are-
Dance until you die!
Dance till you die. I mean, that's what you put on the flyer.
Yeah.
But that, you see, that's where you get into the realms of where you talk about, and we know this because we've listened to certain things, where once you get into a heightened state, if someone in the room is convinced of something,
Yes. Yeah.
then it can lead
Influence.
people
Yes.
in a particular way. Even if it's like an unconscious kind of bias, they're doing it and they're kind of leading people. But I just think it's really, really interesting that there is still this kind of, and even you have it, that even though
Stigma.
it's a simple kind of whatever it is,
And I'm quite
people
sceptical.
just don't
Yeah.
want to get involved in touching it or playing with it or
It's just a risk I'm not willing to take.
being
me neither.
involved with it, even though yeah, I just think it's really funny that it's still actually sold as a child's toy as well in some countries.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's crazy,
That
isn't
is
it?
It's out there.
Especially when they know what, if these so-called stories are true, what it could do. Oh, yeah, here you go.
They are beautiful, though, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, but if you
There's
know,
something quite
From a
special.
design perspective, they are beautiful.
do you know some of the original ones were made of
The blood of virgins.
maybe because they were coffin caskets, the wood of coffin caskets.
Wow. See, now you say.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a board.
Oh, here you go. Have a toy for
it's just a
Christmas.
bit
It's
of a
made out of a
board with
coffin.
some-
Well, the
with some
patented one was.
stuff on. Like, it's not. How could it be? Well, because it's made from coffins.
Yeah, that might have a
Might have tipped the edge.
edge to it, but
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting.
It is an interesting, and I have heard some horror stories with them as well, but which is why I won't do one. You tell us about your experience now.
So I was with somebody at university. No drugs were taken.
I like the way you cleared that up at the beginning.
No, my mother's listening.
Yeah.
Not a lot of drink was taken, in fairness, but I've been curious about it and wanted to try one. So we did it. So it was the two of us and we were sat there. And genuinely, so you put the hand on the planchette that
Do
moves around.
you both put your hands on,
Yeah.
or just one of you?
Yeah. Well, it depends. You can do it.
Yeah.
Like different ways. You
I
see
can't
groups
remember.
of people doing it, but we both had the hand on there. But this is where the skeptics will always say, "Oh, well, somebody
Was
again
moving it, yeah.
unsubconsciously." It's like,
Yeah.
and it spelled out a name. But when I went to look it up, and I can't remember the name now because I think I was a bit
Worked up.
worked up. But when we looked it up, it was a demonic name.
Yeah.
So you have a list of demons if you go to demonology.
I think the person you were with was winding you up.
Do you think she was?
Yeah.
I'm easily led, to be fair. I am easily
think
led. I mean,
perhaps.
gullibility is one of my, failings. I don't know. It didn't feel like, because my hand was
On it.
on the planchette and hers was over mine. And I think you'd feel if someone was pushing, like it's different if you had your hand on them and it was moving. You wouldn't know.
True.
But the fact that my hand was on there,
Maybe.
What was the demon name?
I don't know, but when he pops back, I'll ask him.
Oh, no, I'm not risking it.
When he
Is
comes
that-
back, tell him to put the kettle on.
Is that the real danger, though? What you might take away with you?
Yeah, that's for me. That's what
that
it
is
would
one
be.
of my greatest fears in life. I have some fear. One is being sent to prison for a crime I didn't commit.
Yeah.
But another one is taking a ghost home with me.
Depends on the ghost.
I just don't want to take anything.
Patrick
I think
Swayze?
That really terrifies me. The idea that you could go somewhere and something could follow you home. No, thanks. No.
The problem is that whether you believe in it or not, there's good and bad in everything.
Yeah.
So even if you're looking for something good, it is a window to open something bad. That's what I think. And that's why I would never go near one.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan.
Absolutely not.
Have you got anything else?
Apart from my furniture examples, no. Although I was thinking about yesterday, but didn't get round to looking into it in detail, was dolls' houses.
No.
And, the miniatures, because you do see a lot.
Haunted dolls' houses.
Yes. And where like the furniture moves, and they've been in quite a lot of horror films, and they act as like a conduit for certain spirits. So, yeah.
Amy's pulling her face.
Oh, no, I've got
Let's
questions
have
about
Let's
it.
have
I've got questions about
Oh,
it. Because
I can't have questions about your stuff.
Sit down, dear.
Go on.
Get back to your salty beef.
I suppose it's about, who's haunting them? Like,
What was that film recently with the doll's house? And the kid used to have the...
Wasn't Hereditary? No, wasn't that one. What was it?
And there used to be these figures, but the house was a model of the actual house they were living in. Oh, I'll have to have a search.
well, that's like the miniaturist, but I don't think that's the same.
No,
So
I
there
don't
wasn't a
think
kid
it's
in
not
there.
No, there's a
that.
different one, and they,
People will tell us. Tell us
Yeah,
what
tell us
Esther's
what-
trying to describe.
yeah. I can remember watching it, and I was like, wow, that doll's house.
To me, it comes back to like the idea of a haunted object and whether an object can be
Yes.
haunted.
Uh-huh.
Because you think haunted house, haunted doll's house. I've just got this picture of these wee ghosts,
Yeah.
little doll ghosts walking around. But that's not. But then, is it the child that played with it? Or is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, who is haunting the house? And can an object be haunted?
Totally.
Yeah.
Can it be? It can be cursed. I think probably. I put a
Yes.
curse on you. I put a spell on you. But can it be haunted?
What if it's to do with the association of someone? That's why it's haunted. Like a person. It's that haunts it because of the close association rather
So-
than it cursed.
That would See, I say I don't want to bring any ghosts home with me, but I like old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I will buy things from charity/antique.
Like a China doll.
No, I wouldn't buy that. You know I wouldn't buy that. Absolutely terrified of those things.
I have to say that.
Send them to Amy.
Annabelle.
To be fair, I'm so lonely. I could do with some friends.
Especially this next year.
For a tea party.
So what do you think about that? You go to the antique shop. You
Not a
come
problem.
home with a
Not a
lovely
problem.
vase.
Not a problem.
Are you risking bringing something home with you then?
Yeah, but I don't see it as a problem. You can't
live
in
your life
fear.
like that,
You
yeah.
can't live in fear, Amy. You can't live in fear.
No, I mean, it's not stopped me before, but I'm just thinking,
Well, it's how far you think into it. I think if you overthink things, you'd never do anything.
You might not know this actually, but there is. If we're talking about design again,
Yeah.
if you like,
Yeah.
there is a very, very famous book
Yeah.
that some people say is cursed. When you talk about cursed objects, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah.
So, in I can't remember the date.
So good.
I can't remember the date now, but there was a book commissioned, and it's a very famous book. It's the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And if people listen to Spooky Podcasts and Weird Podcasts, they know exactly
Yeah.
what we're talking about. But this is a very famous book by a Persian poet. Lots and lots of mysteries around it. Lots and lots of people have lots of different opinions. But this one chap who I forget his name of, because I didn't expect to really do this story, but he had a beautiful bejeweled version
Copy
of
of
it.
this,
Yeah,
okay.
and this was handcrafted. It took months and months and months to create.
Wow.
And it was being shipped to America when it was finished. But they were so, detailed in their precision and the way they made it, all, handwritten out and everything else, that they missed the ship that it was meant to go on to America.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, that's not a problem. It's better.
Get you on the next boat.
Yeah, it's better that we finish it and it's perfect and everything. Let's say, and then they sent someone. They said, oh, there's another boat leaving in, I think it was like 3 days or a week or
Yeah.
something. And so we'll put it on that. The boat was the
Sank.
Titanic.
Shut up.
But that's not the only tragedy surrounding the book.
Oh, I know.
So there was a fire.
There was. So this sank. So obviously,
Yeah, we
No,
all know
she
what
gone.
happened. We
no
all know what
spoilers.
happened to the
No
Titanic.
spoilers. It went with Jack.
Come back.
Down to the bottom of the ocean. So, because all this work was lost, this beautiful designed version of the book.
The book.
So, somebody connected to the company that did it. I think it was the son of one of the original designers. Said, you know what? Let's make another one.
No.
So they spent again ages and ages putting this book together. Beautiful, different copies. So it was done in a different way, but again, very expensive.
Yeah.
Everything was porn. Then World War II broke out. So they were like, okay, London's being bombed. We need to put this book safe.
Oh no. Oh no.
So they took it to a bank, put it in the vault, thinking, you know
Yeah.
what, if nothing else, at least we can, because it went with other antiques and other things that people
Yeah.
were obviously trying to save. The first bombing raid from the Nazis in London hit that bank
What the hell?
and literally blew the bank to pieces. The vault was damaged and the book was partially damaged, but again, beyond kind of repair. Of I think. So, beautifully crafted design.
Oh my god, you give up by then, wouldn't
Cursed.
you? Cursed.
And the Somerton man.
Ugh,
Do you know about the Somerton man?
No.
He was a man that was found on a beach in Australia. And it was nobody really knew who he was,
Nobody.
why he was there. There's lots of conspiracies about how he
Still
died.
is. Still is.
Still is. They do think they've identified who he is now. But he was found with a page of that book on his person. It's just creepy. Stephen brought it in on Monday and I refused to touch it.
Yeah, I bought a copy.
Oh, you'll have to show me.
Well, I mean, it's not a bejeweled version.
Well, no,
just your
but
bog standard.
just your bog standard.
paperback, but I
Wow.
saw it. It was on a shelf,
It called to
and
you.
it was like,
Buy me.
and I don't know if I regret it. When you talk about
You regret buying it?
but so far so good.
So far, you're still alive.
Yeah,
Tune
I am.
in next episode
Yeah. And I won't be here.
when Stephen's missing a limb.
Oh God, what one are you taking from me? Just so I'm
Well, it is
prepared.
Halloween. It is Halloween.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh, I've got a
you
bit
see,
on that.
I have
yeah.
that as well, but go on.
The history, go. Go.
So, originally, they weren't pumpkins at all.
No,
No,
weren't.
they weren't.
Because obviously, as we've discussed, oh, sorry, my knife nearly went flying. Move that. As we've discussed, the Halloween tradition is all wrapped up in the Samhain, which is the original Celt festival. And they didn't have an abundance of pumpkins in...
No, they used turnips, didn't they?
So they used turnips. They also occasionally used the odd potato.
Yes.
Potato.
Which I was thinking, I can't imagine carving a potato.
I can't imagine carving a turnip.
And beets, though. Beetroots.
Yeah. I mean...
How do you carve a beetroot? With a very small knife.
Messily.
I mean, this is a challenge. A knife and a turnip.
Yeah. Forget your pumpkins.
No, you'd be there all
We
day.
should do beetroot carving. That's what people want to see.
But the tradition is said to come from a story of Jack, the blacksmith.
That's
Stinky Jack.
right.
Stinky
Jack.
Stinky Jack.
Stinky Jack.
I mean, he might have stuck too. This was a long time
I knew his
ago.
cousin.
So he wasn't a particularly nice man, and he also smelt. Could have done with a bath.
So all those beetroots and turnips.
He was always trying to doss money off people.
I mean, come on, Jack.
One night, he meets the devil.
We've all been there.
Or the death. Death or devil?
No, it's the devil.
I think
It's
it's
the
the
devil.
devil,
It's the
yeah.
devil.
In a bar, and he persuades the devil to buy him a drink in
He does.
return for his soul.
Poor Jack.
Jack's like, all right, fancy a drink.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances, a bit like you with that book.
Yep.
Although the book didn't buy you a drink, did it?
No. Story of my life.
Some time passes. The devil does try to get the soul
Yes.
back from Jack.
Yeah.
Jack tricks him. There's something to do with an apple tree. Again, it's all about apples, isn't it?
I thought it was a coin.
I
the
heard
coin.
coin.
No. In the
Is that the
pub,
next one?
the devil turns himself into a coin for Jack to pay for the drink.
That's right.
A year later, the devil comes back to say, I want
looking
your
for his soul.
That's right.
And Jack tricks him.
Yes.
Something to do with climbing up an apple tree.
Yeah.
And
I
the
wish I'd known
devil's
that.
thwarted. That's a good word, isn't it? Thwarted.
Thwarted.
But when Jack dies, he turns up at the gates of hell, obviously, because he was stingy
Like a
and
bat out of
stinky.
hell.
And the devil doesn't let him in. And he says, no, sorry, pal. Instead, he gives him a turnip. And
Livid. I'd be livid.
Yeah.
the ghost of Jack still roams the Irish countryside with his glowing turnip, which is not a euphemism. Before you
sure?
ask. And that's where it comes from.
Oh.
Stingy Jack and his glowing,
Glowing
turnip.
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 Is that why lights were put inside pumpkins and you put faces on them?
Well, they put lights inside turnips originally and then pumpkins
It's to
because it's
ward him
supposed
off,
to
isn't it?
ward off.
him?
Evil
Yeah.
spirit.
And all
Ward
the
off
others.
Jack.
Yeah.
Stinky Jack.
But it's the same with dressing up. Dressing up traditionally was so you would blend in
Yes,
with
that's right.
the demons, the monsters, the fairies. And then they wouldn't pick on you. The witches wouldn't eat the small children because they just think that they were small witches.
Yeah.
And that's where the dressing up comes from.
Wow. There you go.
So I don't know what the reasoning is for dressing up like a sexy nun because like
I think that's just evolved over time.
It's because I got the legs.
keep the sexy nuns away from me.
Yeah. That's people just taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
I think we're about done. I do have something else, but I think I'm going to save it for next time, which is all about how...
Can I tell you about Marie Laveau then, please?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
The voodoo queen
Yeah.
from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Is
So-
this like Day of the Dead?
Coming back to no, she was essentially like what we might refer to as a witch doctor or
Yeah.
like a herbalist. She did actually really help people, but her because of what she was invested in and because of the rise of things like Christianity, they kind of changed her narrative
Burn her.
to turn her
To
into
witch.
something that was essentially evil when she really wasn't.
No.
But she's buried in a cemetery in New Orleans, that's got to be the spookiest place on earth, right? Mm-hmm. And they've got such beautiful buildings, and their cemeteries are really vast, and they're all above ground cemeteries, so the water content in the soil is high, so they can't bury the dead in the ground. So they build the kind of tombs. They kind of look like those like creepy cityscapes, don't they? When you look at them. And on the 1st of November, which here is All Saints Day, Souls Day,
Solstice. Is it?
Saints.
Yeah.
All Souls is the previous.
They celebrate the same thing, but they call it La Toussaint.
Oh, La Toussaint.
And they go and
Munch too.
they decorate the cemeteries with flowers, but not just like go and put flowers on a grave. Like they literally like cover the whole place in flowers. And there's a queue of like 1,000 people to get into the cemetery on that day for people to go and look round, and tourists obviously get involved. But the cemetery in which she is buried, being the Voodoo Queen, is called St. Louis, and it's probably one of the most famous
I've heard
cemeteries.
of that one.
And it is beautiful if you take a look. But she's got a tomb there. Sorry, excuse me. And people will go to the tomb. They will cross. They will use traditionally chalk, but they've had problems with people using biros and knives and stuff. Put a cross on the tomb, make a kind of wish. It's probably not the right word for it. Request.
Yeah.
For something, and then if it works, they have to go back and they have to do an offering. But somebody, so they've been repainting it because people were just writing all over
defecating
it, and they were repainting it. They were repainting it in a kind of breathable whitewash.
Yeah.
Well, someone went and painted it bright pink, but they used that kind of rubber paint.
Oh.
So the stone itself can't breathe.
Yeah, latex paint, isn't it?
And it took them ages
to get it off.
So they've had to corner it off so people can't go and... Obviously, the person that painted it pink thought that they were doing a really grand job. They didn't realise that actually would destroy the stone itself. But she's still said to haunt that graveyard. And if you go there as a skeptic, that she will push you, scratch you, chase after you. Just generally doesn't want you in her graveyard. Because,
I'm all right then.
Yeah,
because you're a skeptic.
Yeah, because you don't believe in her powers as the Voodoo Queen. But I'd really like to go.
There's a moral in that, isn't there?
What?
Choose the right paint.
Yeah, I was going to say painting the tomb.
Yes.
You've got an old property, people.
That's
Use
true.
a heritage
See, you
paint.
thought that story was pointless, but that's a real point there.
Yeah.
Information.
That's, heritage students, use the right paint.
That's right.
Techniques. Come on, guys.
I think we'd wrap it up then.
Oh, I think we're going to have to. But
Yeah.
We could go
will
on
save
forever.
my Gothic buildings for another time.
Yes.
Okay.
Like part 2. Maybe not. It's been fun. It's always fun, especially when it's Halloween fun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know where to reach us. If not, if you're new to us, then you can reach us on social medias. We have 2 Instagram accounts. You can get us at the National Design Academy, or you can get us at the Awkward Corner podcast, where we were putting up lots of pictures from behind the scenes.
Most definitely.
And some of the stuff that we've referenced as well in the podcast, so you can have a look while you listen along to us. Any of your own ghost stories, Amy would love to hear them.
Oh, please do.
And we're likely to hear all about them if you do. Or anything else, future topics that you want to hear, or things that you've got suggestions for, then let us know. Like and subscribe it all, because it really helps. And go and listen and tell your friends all the other episodes from season 1. Thank you and goodbye.
TTFN.
Goodbye.